Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson's Homeland Security Committee hearing on election irregularities was held on Wednesday. It promised compelling testimony, and it certainly brought it. This makes the first federal hearing on allegations of election fraud. For Senator Johnson, this is about regaining public trust, which obviously has been shattered. In his words, I quote, "The fact that our last two presidential elections have not been accepted as legitimate by a large percentage of the American people is a serious problem that threatens our republic," end quote. He blamed in part today's climate of hyperpartisanship, which is only exacerbated by the persistent efforts to delegitimize the results of the 2016 election, referring to the Russian collusion hoax. He also noted that the ongoing suppression and censorship of the conservative perspective by biased media and social media just adds fuel to the flames. Listening to this on Wednesday, I did notice that the discussion we're having about the 2020 election has changed. Remember when election fraud was supposedly so rare that we hardly ever heard of any cases? Why, there was supposedly no evidence of it happening, and we weren't supposed to say it had ever happened, let alone that it might have changed the outcome. Now, after hearing firsthand accounts from witness after witness about what they saw, the discussion has become, well, sure, there's always going to be a certain level of fraud, but the question is, was it enough to change the outcome? And that was the question Senator Johnson asked in his opening statement. We're now dickering over the level of the fraud. It sounds as if we are acknowledging that our country is unwell because of a very unhealthy lifestyle. And now we need to determine if continuing on this track is bad enough to kill the patient. I hope that at some point in the future, historians aren't asking that question at the autopsy. To continue the analogy, the patient's test or polls say it's pretty serious. About 70% of Republicans don't believe the election was free and fair. And even many Democrats see problems, although their level of trust in Biden's win is going up. Yes, America is very sick and needs a huge lifestyle change through accountability and reform of the process. The courts have had their own blasted reasons for refusing to look at the unconstitutional rule changes in several states, but that doesn't mean the election wasn't affected by them. It simply means the judiciary just didn't want to be involved, and they found ways not to be. Democrats at the hearing mostly knocked the idea of being there, saying the election challenges just aren't good for the country, as if steamrolling towards an outcome that so many Americans don't trust were good for the country. The ranking Democrat on the committee, Michigan Senator Gary Peters, said that the current legal challenges to the election results, quote, undermine the will of the people, disenfranchise voters, and sow the seeds of mistrust, end quote. I'd point out that ignoring the glaring problems that we've seen will cause precisely that kind of damage. Democrats expressed concern about mail-in ballots and Dominion voting machines when they thought that these were potential problems for them. Now that they're almost managed to drag Biden over the finish line, they want to shut down any examination of these factors. Senator Johnson blasted the Democrats for the hypocrisy of their constant change and well as charge of disinformation. Here's what he said.
And I just have to point out that the purveyors of Russian disinformation, Hillary Clinton's campaign, the DNC, the Steele dossier, the ranking member Peters accusing Senator Grassley and I of disseminating Russian disinformation, that's where the disinformation is coming. This is getting information we have to take a look at to restore confidence in our election integrity.
I'd given him a standing O after that statement if I'd been there. Incidentally, that accusation against him and Senator Grassley concerned a report they issued on the Biden's foreign business interest, which we all now know is true, as in it's not disinformation. Finally, Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe, who was expected to release his report on foreign interference in the election this Friday, has heard from his office that the Intelligence Committee will not be meeting the December 18th deadline. Their announcement said that a number of agencies have not finished coordinating on the product. The conclusions in this report will be extremely important to how we do move forward. Ratcliffe has been clear about the threat posed by China and also their desire to see Trump out of office. Former acting DNI Rick Grinnell tweeted on Wednesday, just prior to this announcement, that Ratcliffe is standing up for career analysts who want their views to be accurately reflected. In other words, fighting to keep intelligence from being politicized. So in case you were, don't believe the media, because there's a lot of that still needs to be and can be resolved with the election. But there's also a lot that has to be proven in court. In the meantime, there's been much mudslinging and name-calling amongst the conservatives, sometimes for some pretty petty reasons, in a time when, frankly, we need to be more unified than ever before. Democrats only got Biden 306 electoral votes by lying incessantly about the incumbent for 4 solid years. They barely held the House. In fact, so narrowly that Pelosi's position as Speaker is in serious jeopardy. They're in disarray. And 4 years from now, we're going to have a red wave if we don't destroy each other before then. So I leave you with this final thought. Just as American citizens are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, we can respect the integrity of the same process that got Trump elected president 4 years ago and is now moving forward to inaugurate President-elect Joe Biden. I know there's plenty of reason to hold it under suspicion, but it still needs to be proven in court that there was foul play enough to alter the outcome of the election. It doesn't mean that you've given up to call Biden president-elect. It's just part of the process. Trust, but verify. Well, thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed that video, please consider subscribing to the channel below and clicking the notification bell. And leave a like and a comment. And share this video as well if you really enjoyed it. And if you want more of my news, analysis, and commentary, be sure to sign up for my newsletter at MikeHuckabee.com. It is completely free. And that's it for this edition of The Breakdown. I'm Mike Huckabee.